love it. Every week, it seems like there's more people at the start of these calls. How are we doing, folks? All right. And I've got a guest today, too, for you all. Let me see when he should be here any second. Yeah, we're going to have Jimmy Seckerton, our VP of Premium and Ads, is going to join. And Jimmy and I worked together at Brave. Actually, for some history, so when I started working at Brave, Jimmy was at another company, but we were working together on some conceptual stuff for the Brave ads. And then Jimmy ended up coming to work with us, which was really cool. But I'll let Jimmy do an intro when Jimmy gets here. And then I'm just reading the chat and kind of cracking up. Man, I love it. I love this. This is like my favorite time of the week doing this call. So just some kind of house cleaning stuff too. So I've been meeting with a bunch of you on the side. Guillermo too is doing some new artwork with us, and they've been having some conversations with Parker and Drew and a couple other folks. And I think we're just going to keep growing out and doing more initiatives with the community. And I think Discord is going to be a great spot there where we can get more and more people kind of engaged on different specific community efforts. So we're talking about college campus outreach types of effort to get, BAT chapters kind of set up at different campuses and get people talking about BAT, even if virtually, just to kind of, kick the tires and get things moving, and all that. So, let's keep that moving forward. And Drew, I don't know if you want to chime in now too about the NFT stuff for the call today. If you're here. If you're not here, no worries. Oh, there's Jimmy.
Oh, hey, sorry. Did you say again?
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, everyone. This Jimmy Seckerton. He's our VP of Premium and Ads. Jimmy, do you want to give a little bit of background and how you came to Brave and what you do, and so the folks here can ask some questions, and people either Jimmy, just a FYI, so people usually either will raise hands and ask questions, or we have a chat, and so I can kind of comb the chat too for questions while you're talking and volume your way.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks. Good to meet everybody. Thanks for inviting me, Luke. My story is that I actually I worked in ed tech for many years, and my background is in privacy preserving data mining. That's what I did my PhD in, and so was working in ed tech, and actually. I started at a company called Sonobi, and one of the first things we did was we went out to pitch Mozilla on sort of a sponsored content thing, and I was lucky enough to meet Brendan Eich while I was out there, and I talked about hey, we wanted to do something new and private and interesting, and so none of that stuff really worked out for Mozilla, but we kept in touch. And when Brendan left to start Brave, then we kind of kept in touch on what a solution there would look like, and tried a few different things out early on. And eventually I left. I went into the was at a travel app startup for a while, and but kept in touch. And when they were launching Brave Ads, talked to Brendan and came on board to help launch things and kind of carry it through. So my team works on a few different things, including Brave Ads, some of Brave News, some of Brave Talk, Sync, and a few other random and miscellaneous things. So yeah, happy to answer any questions I can.
What's your main focus right now, Jimmy? For the bulk of the work that you're doing?
Oh, well, I think one, there's always the sort of day-to-day, keeping ads on track, and that's there's a lot that goes into it. But we're hoping to launch Brave Talk, very officially soon. And so I think that's what's getting sort of a lot of our attention lately, making sure that, we're smoothing over the rough edges. It's kind of the first thing that, it's the first thing that we've set up a payment site for on desktop. Like there's the VPN, of course, but comes through an in-app purchase. So there's a lot of actually interesting work the team had to do to set up something that let us take credit cards and stuff traditionally, but also kind of minted useful anonymous credentials for useful anonymous credentials that made sure that, like, okay, users are authorized, but we can't track them from from session to session. So there's actually a lot of interesting stuff in there. So yeah,
cool. It looks like I'm going to try and get these. I'm watching both things to catch people in order here, but sorry if I'm getting this out of order. But a Pumic Doom, and these names are the best, by the way. It looks like you got your hand raised. If you want to ask a question.
Yeah, thanks, Luke, and welcome, Jimmy. Hope you can make more. This kind of is a question that goes probably to both of you guys. But as you know, the big chatter today is the drop in the market. Market's dropped about 30%, and I'm wondering, as far as advertisers go, what concerns have they kind of expressed in terms of the volatility of BAT and the crypto sphere as a whole? And kind of part two is what you've said to them to kind of reassure them that it's still worth getting into. And Luke, especially, I know you've mentioned it before, but you've kind of pushed the idea a little bit of advertisers buying dips and having more ad spend with their BAT at a later date when the BAT price goes back up. So I'm just wondering how you guys manage kind of keeping advertisers at a level head, while retail is pulling their hair out with these dips, and how it works for you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy, is there anything you want? I could take this one too.
Look, I'll my stab at it is this, right? Usually if it's probably you might already know, like, if they're advertisers who are not crypto advertisers, right? If they're sort of the more traditional advertisers, well, almost always they're buying in USD, and we sort of figure it out, and the BAT buying, so it's not like anything that they'd have to worry about anyway, right? And then if they are, of course, there's many advertisers that are crypto advertisers, and for the ones that are, I mean, I don't think we generally have to, coddle them through the ups and downs of the market, because if they've, there are a lot of, companies who have been at it a while who are in our advertising roster, and they know that this is pretty par for the course, on how these markets go, right? There's still, there's still exciting markets. There's still, Luke, you obviously know a ton more than I do about it, but this is, when I started, I guess like a little, like almost 3 years ago, it was my introduction to the crypto space. But, since then, I know that this is, these ups and downs are, pretty normal standard part of it. And, and sometimes, if anything else, they encourage those advertisers to, they don't always have to work hard when everything is making a run up, because it's just sort of exciting and driving people. And, when it's not, like, then, we all have to get a lot smarter about, making sure that the advertising is efficient and doing what it's supposed to. And that's what we do for them.
Yeah, I mean, I just add to that basically, like, an advertiser is looking to advertise with Brave. Like, we want to do a couple things with them. Like, mostly the crypto piece is kind of secondary to what we're pitching to them, right? Like, they're getting pitched, on privacy, and also on a new way of advertising that executes towards ROI, where like Jimmy's team's been working on verifiable ad conversions with orders that are kind of giving a straighter line to success for a marketer. So these things happen independently of crypto market conditions, right? Like, and what we do see, and from our sales team especially has been giving us feedback on this around, like, it's actually interesting because during bear markets, a lot of the big name crypto companies will kind of ramp up spend because they want to get more interest. But during bull markets, a lot of times they're actually the ones that are kind of downgrading spend because a lot of people are organically like word of mouth hearing about, the bigger named exchanges, et cetera. But that's where you see kind of the new up and comers spend more money. So, like we're saying, advertisers are going to advertise regardless of what's happening with the market conditions. And so, yeah, like most of the questions we've gotten around them have been around billing and around, okay, are they going to prepay, post pay? And if they're paying with BAT, conditions around how the BAT's paid and things like that. So I hope that helps.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. John Miller, looks like you had a hand raised too.
Hey, yeah. I got a question for Jimmy. So this kind of leads off to the last question. Are Brave ads, so when you negotiate with an advertiser, is the CPC rate calculated in dollars or is it calculated in BAT? And then the second question is, are Brave ads on the roadmap for Brave search? And if so, how long do I have to wait?
Yeah, good question. So, both. So the first question, when they do CPC stuff, both are an option. Like I said, most of the sort of traditional advertisers just choose to pay in US dollars. And there's an important thing to note that users get rewarded for viewing ads, right? And that's actually a really important part of our model, not necessarily for clicking. So even when we have cost per click, usually what our systems are doing in the background is backing that out to a cost per view, because we only want users clicking if they're genuinely interested in what the advertiser have to say. Obviously, we are hopeful that they are. Hopeful that people continue to engage with the advertisers and click and do all that other stuff. But it's important to note that we're continuing to do that calculation in the background. And then the other part, on Brave search ads, I don't have a time frame on when. I know that the team's pretty hard at work on getting that together. And so yeah, no time frame yet. We're still figuring out what everything looks like, but trust me, everybo's hard at work on making that a reality and figuring that out. So sorry, I know it's a cop-out answer, but it's the best I got for you now.
That's fair.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Drew, do you want to chime in? Looks like you got a hand up.
Yeah, sure. I don't know who was better equipped to answer the question, but as Brave grows and the number of users grow, things like that, will you guys be able to demand more, in advertising per, say per click or per ad, I guess, per person kind of thing? And would that affect, how much, obviously, I guess that would affect how much people get, but also if that's something you guys look at or if that's just something down the road.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's definitely the expectation, of, because usually obviously that new tab page is, valuable in proportion to, kind of number of users who are seeing us every day. So yeah, I mean, it's totally something we work on with the sales team, very frequently, is, making sure that the value is keeping up with it. I mean, and if you ask me, although I'm certainly biased, I still think it's usually a great deal, when you think about getting it in front of, really this huge, glossy, beautiful thing in front of, millions of people every day. I think it's still still an awesome unit. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. As the sort of, as sort of the user base is growing, the sales is making it clear, this becomes a more and more valuable unit. And, obviously that's good for us when it is, but also good for the community too, right? We need to make sure that unit is, continues to, value everybody's attention properly, and especially because it's such a big glossy one.
Yeah, and I think I'd just add to that too. You know, as we bring new features on, like especially thinking about the wallet, right? Like we have a really strong kind of mix of crypto brands that are advertising with us and have been, you know, ongoing. Some have even like kind of started and stopped when convenient for them. But what's really cool about what we're doing at the wallet is, you know, there's all these new places for people to onboard with different types of crypto utility, whether it's with NFTs or DeFi or custodial, like, you know, just the BlockFis or, you know, Geminis of the world, right? And having that in a package with the browser not only kind of makes, you know, discovery a thing, it also makes actually using these services in the product something that's valuable to the user. So we can start to, you know, paint an even clearer picture of return to those advertisers. And we can also go to them and say, hey, look, like not only are monthly active users, not only are they monthly active rewards users, they're also monthly transacting users through the wallet, right? So yeah, I think, you know, the value of the Brave user over time is going to increase as we, you know, ship features that bring more value too. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a broken record on the wallet stuff, but I think it's just really going to be a really key thing for us to launch, and especially on desktop and mobile. All right. Fox, I think you have a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there any new news on when the self-serve ad board will be released?
Yeah, so I think like we are looking at, I don't know, Jimmy, we're talking about, you know, regional rollouts, right? Like in the next, you know, month or so, 2 months maybe, be building off of our beta program. And I mean, it's a good opportunity to kind of talk about what we've been doing with buy sell ads too with the beta program. I covered a little bit on the last call, but Jimmy's been like kind of key on integrating some of these things too, and it oversees kind of the self-serve engineering team.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so yeah, my hope is just like you're saying, Luke. In the next couple of months, we'll see some regions where it's an option. Now, truth be told, like I've been hoping that for the last few months, basically for the last 6 months, I've been hoping it's coming in the last, you know, couple of months. But you know, we've hired somebody sort of specifically around it. You know, we've been a little bit distracted lately with some of this talk stuff, but now that, you know, we're sort of finally getting this out the door, we're hoping to, you know, put some, you know, real additional effort against it, you know, and the rollout plan, you know, it's best I can describe is sort of, you know, what Luke and I are hoping to do is like basically roll it out to some, you know, English speaking regions that are not like highly, you know, like oversubscribed in demand, right? So, you know, we're kind of working along with the sales team, right? Because, you know, we have one of those, you know, over the last couple of months, we had one of those like good problems where, you know, it's like there's just been more demand than there is, you know, supply, and that's good and everything like that, you know, and especially in the US, like, you know, a ton of US demand. And so we're being real careful to make sure that we we don't screw that up for our sales team. But at the same time, you know, it's like, okay, what sort of us thinking, what's easy to support if we went out to some, you know, like, you know, and I think like we're usually less sold out in like, you know, Australia, New Zealand, India. And so like there's some English speaking regions, you know, I'm not saying those are all necessarily going to be on the list, but I think that's how it will end up looking. Like, you know, like I said, English speaking regions that are relatively easy to support, but that are not super oversubscribed right now.
Yeah, probably like, yeah, UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah. Even UK is sort of getting to where it's tough. It's still like tough to fulfill all the demand, but you know, but at the same time, the good news is we have, you know, users are signing up, and you know, and we're actually like we're spending a lot of time on our team right now trying to like maximize you know, delivery volume, you know, like making sure that okay, well, we're not, you know, so, and I think everybody wins from it, that, you know, we're not like we put in a lot of effort to making sure that the ads experience like doesn't become overwhelming and people don't become blind to it. But we also are trying to make sure that we're, delivering enough to keep it interesting, to keep people's earnings, pretty solid. And, so yeah, working a lot on that. And I see a comment in channel. Totally agree. I think South America is going to be like a great region for this. It's probably, I think we'll probably end up expanding our sort of like, Spanish speaking support to like get in there. But I think you're right. I think it's like, I think it's pretty open for establishing some strong demand there.
Yeah, like if you look, you've got Carlos Acevedo on our sales team has been doing a lot of work, speaking with agencies in South America and Latam in particular, and we also have a good amount of users in Brazil, right? Like, but what we've seen really strong ad performance in like Argentina as well, and in a couple of countries where crypto is getting big. South America, obviously, like with El Salvador news today and all that, and yeah, it's just going to be an important region for sure. But with us, it's like Jimmy was saying, right? Like, it's not just a matter of like plugging it in. It's also a matter of having support for the regions and localized support, right? So you got to be able to speak the language and understand it enough to support people who expect to have a certain level of support for self-serve. So yeah, that's awesome. Parker, it looks like you have a question too.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry if I missed the last few questions or if I'm repeating something that was already said. I was away for a bit. But given that the demand for advertising space, the growth in that is greater than the user growth, so I've heard, has there been any consideration of having a competitive bidding system between advertisers? Or have you discussed that? Or how does negotiating with advertisers work in that sense?
Yeah, super good question. Yeah, and we've talked a lot about that too, right? I mean, I think the ideal that we're all hoping to get to eventually is sort of better support through like real or real-ish time bidding through hey, the way these campaigns are set up. But right now, I think that's a little ways off. And I think right now it's sort of more like, for my like time in ad tech, we run kind of similarly to how like a big publisher would run, right now, where, and I think that's exactly where the conversation is turning, where, as demand is getting scarcer, we're sort of figuring out like, well, okay, what is, if anybody's kind of familiar with the publisher, ads world of publishing, they go into their like DoubleClick, their DFP, DoubleClick for publishers, and they, sort of say, okay, well, we have guaranteed deals with the following, people, and this is what has to deliver, and here's what we're more flexible on, and we're sort of, we've done a lot of changes. I think we have a couple more planned to make our system, a lot like that. And I think, I think that's what the sales that's how sales will go, probably over the next 6 months with that kind of stuff, where you're like, okay, well, hey, that's great. Like, if we pretty sure we can guarantee you this. If you, are not willing to pay this, we'll kind of slot you in here and, we'll do our best. And I think that's sort of how the interim looks.
And also too, I think like, there are kind of two sides of the coin, right? Like there's programmatically attacking the problem, which, it's still a good problem to have, a lot of demand. I think the other thing we can do, and what we have been doing, is increasing the available supply. So like Jimmy's team has been working on things which I'm sure most of you have seen, where, there's new options to increase the maximum ads per hour to 10, or, we switched up the defaults too. So you could see more ads per hour by default than what you were seeing before. But also more importantly, even is, the introduction of Brave News ads and new ad units to the equation, so that we can create additional supply. But like and I've been doing testing on this. Jimmy's been looking at this too. Like we've been kind of engaging on this like daily around like what we're seeing from, you know, from Jimmy's side of, you know, things with the macro view on how many, you know, impressions are getting served. And then from what I'm seeing on, you know, the campaign side of things. And it's promising. I mean, people are really using Brave News, and you know, what gets me excited about this is one, it, you know, gives our sales team more inventory to sell, but then two, you know, my earnings for this month just through testing Brave News, you know, it's significantly better than what it has been in the past too, which is kind of striking on another item that we're always thinking about is, you know, how can we get more rewards to users and make that number go up for them? So I hope that helps. All right. So there's some questions in here. Yeah, no problem. There is a question in here, Jimmy, about publisher ads, and I've kind of given some context around, you know, the supply and you know, the economics around it in the past calls. So like, you know, kind of, but maybe you can kind of help validate like how far that it has been moving along in the background.
So really good question. Yeah, you know, because we got publisher ads technically, the tech part of something, you know, pretty close. This is probably like a year ago, you know, and we were experimenting with it because we were eager to, you know, figure out what the implementation, you know, kind of looked like. And really the thing that, you know, just, yeah, exactly like Luke said, is that the thing that's sort of holding us up right now is kind of the economics of scale, that we need, you know, we need partners to sign up for this that, you know, make sort of meaningful scale here, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, well, if, you know, even a big site, you know, so take any big site, you know, that we'd want to do this on. And, you know, even if we take a, you know, it's like, okay, well, this gets 1% of the traffic and then 1% against the, you know, the, like, yeah, not everybody, you know, is, you know, so something like low 20% of users like opt in to Brave ads. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, you start like taking haircuts on that amount, and then unless it's a site, you know, and so it's like the thing we don't want to be doing, right, is like, yeah, there's a ton of sites that are, you know, really excited to start with us, but, you know, we don't want to get them engaged and have them say like, oh, great, here's what you should paste in or whatever to your site, and then, you know, write them a $10 check a month. You know, that's just not that interesting, and you know, want to make sure we're giving everybody, you know, the best head start. But, you know, at some point in scale soon here, it will start, you know, I think it'll start to make sense. And then especially if we, you know, I know that the biz dev team is, you know, trying to, you know, continually trying to, you know, sort of engage with publishers, and they're slowly coming around to things that, you know, especially some of the big ones that, you know, then would start to make this so it's basically, if you get a big publisher who's willing to pilot this with you, you know, who addresses a substantial portion of scale for our user base, you know, that could start to make sense. So we're sort of, you know, yeah, we're waiting for that. But honestly, in the meantime, you know, we're keeping ourselves pretty busy with kind of figuring out, like, you know, just with Brave News. And, you know, again, a lot of people are putting, you know, effort into, you know, search and everything now. So, you know, I think when the opportunity presents itself, we'll hopefully be ready to jump on it.
Awesome.
Can I
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, everybody. So self-serve or automated ad buying is something we're looking at for the long run for Brave Search too. Just want everybody to know, starting with direct sales was the only way to go when we started, but we're going to get to promised land, and it's only a matter of time and scale. It's kind of just an inductive exercise and making sure the costs are recovered as we go. So, you know, even Luke's ad ops team and Jimmy's team do things that build toward self-serve. But the real key for us, I think, around the corner next year, at the soonest, would be search ads exchange, and that would have to be self-serve because you have a lot of inventory, you have a lot of keywords, you have high dimensionality.
Awesome. So Rock, it looks like you got a question too.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the call. So I joined a little bit late, so I'm not sure if this question's been asked, but right now I know that for the ads attributions, you guys are supporting clicks and impressions. Right now, if we were following through with like signing up for accounts or purchasing any of the items, do you guys count that as well, or is that future work?
That
Yes.
seems like a good opportunity, Jimmy. Cover some of the
Yeah,
work you guys are doing.
super good question. So right, actually, the team put in a ton of work to figuring out how to support this in a privacy preserving way. So there's a couple of ways that we do it. So yeah, today there is for advertisers a way to count what is calling conversions, right? Of like, okay, did somebody actually do the thing? Somebody actually buy the thing that we wanted them to buy, or sign up for what we wanted them to sign up for. And there are a couple of ways this happens. One, the simplest way this is done is advertisers can attach this sort of like kind of conversion events to things, and basically all they're saying is like, hey, when somebody gets to a checkout page and it looks like this, like, oh, mydomain.com / star checkout star, right, or whatever it is, I want you, I want you to count that for me. And so using our same kind of privacy preserving, confirmation model, we can just get that, exactly that amount of information, where, we can just tell the advertiser, and great, 10 people, 10 people converted, we have no idea who they are, but, here are 10 conversions. We also just recently put out something that, was interesting. And we have this way, we call it verifiable conversions, where we can still keep, basically all of the same privacy guarantees, all the same privacy guarantees, but we're able to give something, the advertiser, something they can verify. And basically the TLDR, the way it works is that like, the advertiser gets a public private key pair. Only they have the private key. We put the public key in the catalog, and they tell us like, oh, okay, great. Here's where our order IDs are. We encrypt that. When a Brave Ads user, who's signed up and seen that campaign converts, we're able to send that encrypted payload back to the advertiser. They are able to decrypt. They learn nothing new except an order ID they already had, and they're able to confirm that, yes, this was driven by Brave Ads. Brave learns literally nothing new about the user. We don't know who this is. We don't know what the order ID is. It's all encrypted. We're all, we're completely blinded to it. So it's a really interesting way of doing this. And so, between those two things, we're now able to give, advertisers this feedback, but in a, completely privacy preserving way.
And to just kind of like, top line it for you guys. So with Brave Ads, we can measure impressions. So when the ad was served and put into view, whether that ad was clicked or dismissed by the user. We can also measure from the ads history upvotes and downvotes. And then we measure 10-second landing page visits after the user clicks. And then we have view through or click through conversions, which we can look back in a 1-day, 7-day, or 30-day look back window. And then the verifiable order conversions that Jimmy was talking about, just to kind of break it all down into a list of metrics. All right.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I think some of this information, I'm sure you'll probably have it in the blog post or something once it's more formalized.
Yeah, I think Jimmy, your team was working on a post around the conversion work, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like we've put it in some of the wikis and stuff like that, for anybody interested. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like I think it's blog post worthy.
Drew, do you got another question?
No, I didn't. But
Oh, someone had their hand up. Sorry.
just real quick, I'll say the POAP code was Luke0907. So in case anybody didn't see that in the chat, but thanks.
Cool. Here we go. We got pay with bat questions. There's a bunch of them. So, so Jimmy, you worked on the SKU work a little bit. Like, do you have a sense of where we're at with pay with bat?
I know that it's not under my team, right now, but
oh, that's right.
Yeah. So, here's what I can tell you, right? I know that like the active focus has been the like, oh, okay, can we accept, right now, credit card payments through like this, still private credentialing account site. And that's kind of taken a lot of the focus from that, that's absorbed a lot of the focus of the team. And I think once we're clear of that, then, everybody's going to get, the efforts back on track to, pay with, virtual bat and stuff like, I know that that's like a huge area of focus and a highly requested feature. So, as soon, we have a few more things I think to do there. And then, I feel like those teams will get started soon thereafter.
And for what it's worth, I mean, the same team that's working on the pay with that is the kind of core rewards team, and a lot of them have been heads down on getting the Gemini user wallet integration release that we released last week. So part of this is also around kind of giving people more options, which we also know is like been in high demand. Since we have Brendan here, there have been a bunch of questions in here about Brave Mail. And thoughts on Brave Mail, and I know you've got some thoughts on that type of thing. So I don't know if you want to, give the group here kind of your feelings and thoughts on where where your head's at with Brave Mail.
Well, mail is something people want, and they want it end-to-end encrypted. I've been using Proton, and I haven't got their search waitlist access. So the problem with end-to-end without search using an encrypted index or some kind of server-side scheme is that you can't find anything. So I think if we do mail, it has to be end-to-end and have a secure index scheme, and we're looking into it. That's all I'll say. It's not something we do ourselves. It's capital intensive to start. It has a high customer service cost, but if we find the right partner, we can do it. We're talking to all the best people in the space.
Awesome, thanks. Does anybody have any audio questions that they want to do? Otherwise, I'm sorry, every week I butcher this name, so sorry about that. But if you want to chime in, it looks like you had your hand up.
Yeah, sure, no problem. This is a question for you guys or Brenda or just Brave in general. So with the reluctant centralization point that Brave's at currently, I was looking at, the famous bat symbol with, users, advertisers, publishers, and, let's see, advertisers go into the middle, and then from the middle it goes to publishers and users. But just currently thinking your current model is advertisers pay you guys, and then, you give them the bat, and then you keep part of the bat, and then the rest goes to users. I was thinking possibly in the future, what would be preferable to reduce that centralization and also possibly significantly reduce exposure to regulations would be to have advertisers buy bat directly and put that bat into a smart contract, which then automatically distributes that to users and also you guys through, I'd say, possibly Themis protocol, if you can get that to work. But I think that would be great for decentralization and also curb regulations as well. Obviously, the big issue there is getting advertisers on board for that, which will be a big thing, which I think getting your usual crypto advertisers to probably alpha or beta test that if you do that in the future. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, we've always wanted to be a DAO, but if you try to be a DAO fast, you get in even worse trouble. We've never been in trouble. So what we're trying to do is, as I said earlier, use inductive methods to get there in stages. The Themis is an important step because it lets advertisers self-verify. It avoids the trusted third-party problem for some of the ad platforms. And we're going to do it. I'm not going to say how we're going to do it, but we've already had a request for a code and comments process that bore a lot of fruit, and people like the Solana team were early in jumping on that. So we're going to keep pursuing it. And once we get Themis up and we switch over the ad system to that, we can then work on the next layer of smart contract systems like you suggest. And I think, there's no silver bullet against regulators, right? Chancellor in the U.S. is making a sort of turf war with CFTC. He sounds like in some ways he sounds like a maximalist, but he's a smart guy. The U.S. probably is not going to kill the golden goose here. I hope not. But what we're trying to do in the long run is get to a DAO-like architecture, and you cannot do this quickly, or you'll end up going afoul of the actual DAO bulletin, which came out in late July 2017.
And also too, I think there is this kind of like a technical implementation and the decentralization side of it. There's also very real business realities around companies even now. And then I will say, compared to 2017, 2018, the operating climate for crypto is much more favorable now than it was then. But even now, with the PayPals and Venmos and others in the world that are accepting cryptocurrency, it's still a lot of brands are still somewhat risk averse to transacting in crypto or to having the cognitive load or all the other requirements around kind of going through a non-standard flow.
Totally. It's like the publishers. You talk to the ad buyers, the CFO, legal department, IT department, they don't want to do it in general. Now, there are exceptions. We get paid in BAT for some ad deals. We get paid in USDC for a few. And we put the rest on brave.com/transparency to show where we're actually providing a buy side to the ad system. When people pay us in fiat, we buy the BAT for the user rev share. But requiring BAT to buy Brave ads won't work until we're at a much larger scale. And it's not like we'll make it a mandate. It's more like we'll sweeten the path. This is all about sort of non-equilibrium dynamics. And if you think about things statically, you'll never get anywhere. You wouldn't have gotten off the ground, right? But if you think about how to get from A to B, B to C, and make the path sweeter with that and with decentralization, you'll get to Z, you'll get to the promised land. That's our plan.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, it's the amount of advertisers that are even asking us about paying in crypto, it's significantly more than what it was when we launched Brave Ads too. So for what it's worth, I mean, the trending is good, favorable toward crypto from what we're seeing, and it's just a matter of time, and also implementing something like this is a lot of work, especially with a user base this big. So
we effectively give a discount for people who buy ads audience with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Have we got any other audio questions in the room? I'm just kind of scanning through here. Otherwise, I can jump over to the chat. Where are you guys talking to e-commerce sites? I can answer that one. Yeah, we are. I mean, we've been meeting with them. We've had partners and done some things with them with ads already. And with search, there's even more interest in kind of getting into e-commerce with Brave. Let's see here. More questions. I think this is the biggest audience we've had here, which is great. Let's see. Can we pay? So we covered pay with that. Nicholas, do you want to jump in?
Yes, I wanted to ask if you have something to share about the progress of Brave Search. Yes.
Yeah, Brave Search progress. I think Jimmy or Brennan, you guys.
It's heading toward default. We're not going to force it on existing users who have a factory default. We're going to propose it to them. Existing users who chose a non-factory default, you might propose to them too if it's substandard, like DuckDuckGo. So we're not going to slam anybody with an override. That's not our way. We're user first. For new users, it'll be the default, and then the future is bigger than the past. So we're gonna make Brave Search default as cleanly as possible this fall.
Great. Well, let's look through here. Is Brave Wallet going to compete with MetaMask? Yeah.
It's going to replace MetaMask.
You heard it here. Do we have a sense of, and this might be, Jimmy might know this too, how many users are using search, or any sense of usage around the beta for search that we'd be open to sharing?
I think we have a blog post on this, but I don't think we're sharing metrics yet, because the trend is our friend, and that's more important to emphasize. But if you give out point samples, people either love you for your success so far, or they roast you for being too small. So stay tuned to the blog for that.
And please give us feedback. For all of you that, I hope all of you are trying out Brave Search. Just go to search.brave.com if you haven't tested it out yet. Okay, sports card, price or fees. Oh, that's a good question. Price or fee as compared to MetaMask. So yeah, I think, comparable and competitive. And we actually have, Freaky Theory was asking about the prices or fees compared to MetaMask, and we're working on, we have a post that's in final edits right now around a swap program for rewards that we're going to introduce that should make us even more competitive there, and also kind of like play off the strength of the ecosystem too, with rewards and giving people more BAT too. So
bad rebates for swaps.
Bad rebates for swaps, right? Yeah. And right, let's see here. Any other audio questions from folks? I'm getting stuck in doom scroll. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, there's a question around when the wallet will be released. So one, you guys can track wallet progress, anybody that wants to, on GitHub. There's a wallet tag in the Brave browser repo, but right now we were looking at the MVP for the wallet being released. I think that the timeline is looking toward the end of September, roughly, based on the version. There's software development, so it might shift a little bit, but take a look at the
in Nightly, right?
Yeah, in Nightly. That's right. And you can also, we have some tweets where we kind of break down how to open it, or how to expose it from the feature flag, and take a look at some of these things. And yeah, so we'll put some wallet update in the swap rewards blog post as well, so people can get a proper update on that. But mobile and desktop for the Brave wallet too, which will be different from the crypto wallet that we currently have out. There's a question about Brave VPN that was way up in the chat that I forgot to ask. Do Jimmy or Brendan, do you guys have a timeline for Brave VPN?
Oh, and it was specifically on Android, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. On Android, it sounds like it's, here's what I know, and again, not I'll caveat by saying not my team, but I will that I'm not on the team that is primarily working on that, but I've got some reasonably rough updates that I think I've heard from them. I think it's basically like for Android 11 and greater. I think the release of that is imminent. So pretty soon. I think weeks. And then I think hopefully soon thereafter, I think are the I think 8, 9, and 10, something like that. It's because of the it's evidently complex in the way it works in different versions of Android, so they're kind of have to knocking it down a few versions at a time. But I think you should be hearing some update from the team about it for at least, Android 11 and above, like very soon.
Excellent. All right. We got Drew's got another question. For a hand.
Yeah, going back to the wallet and like the exchange and the rebates and other incentives related to that, is that going to all come out at the same time, or is that DEX part going to be further down the line kind of thing?
Yeah, well, so in July we introduced the DEX aggregator support in the crypto wallet, which will be replaced by the new wallet. So we put the DEX aggregator support into desktop already, and so when we launch the wallet MVP, it'll have DEX aggregator support in Brave Swap. And some of these things will be programs, like the swap rewards is kind of a program within rewards, and some of these other features will be built out over time. So like look for like a MVP version of the wallet that will give you kind of like the core of everything, and then over time we'll add in additional, just like everything else we do. You just add in more over time, right? Like so, but it's iterative.
We also did EIP 1559 support in the current wallet, which is basically like MetaMask built in. So all you true believers should try it out. We wanted to avoid the gas costs killing the current crypto users, so we'll migrate them to the new wallet. And so we did it ahead of the new wallet.
That's great.
I was going to say I was going to try and do a swap earlier today, but it was like $600 to do and get.
OpenSea is really driving up the transaction fees for sure right now. But I think that's another point too, right? Like the Brave wallet, we're going to ship it with multi-chain support, so people will be able to add other chains, and we'll add more, first-class support too over time.
As soon as we can, probably not in September and nightly, but we're pushing to get other chains in. I mentioned Solana already, so enough said.
All right. Are there any questions from the chat that because I'm scanning through here, we've answered a lot here, but if there's any questions that weren't addressed here in the chat that you want us to talk about, feel free to chime in. 40-year has a question. What fail-safes will be put into place once the Brave wallet and DEX are launched to avoid outages like Gemini today during the crypto dump and Robinhood in the past? I think like I can just take a stab. The DEX aggregator is decentralized, right? Like, and the thing has been resilient through the dumps in May and other past dumps. And one of the reasons why DeFi is so powerful is that you look at what's happening on the decentralized side of things, and they weather fair with fewer maintenance problems than what you see on a lot of centralized exchanges. So I think for what it's worth, having that DEX aggregator built in will help for folks that to avoid some of those maintenance pitfalls that seem to happen with centralized exchanges when there is market volatility. And Cookie asks, is there anything that should be done differently in terms of SEO for Brave Search as opposed to Google, for example? I'm not sure on that one. Or specifically with like optimizing SEO for Brave Search? If so, we can go to the search team and follow up. I'll try to actually get somebody from the search team too on the next call. Questions about Lex Friedman interviews with milestones. So we're working on getting more and more interviews set up, and the marketing team's also working on marketing. So there should be more around wallet when that releases too. It's a big deal for us. Is there any potential for a YouTube killer? I don't know, Brendan, like you're a big fan of Playlist. Maybe like to share some thoughts on what we're doing with Playlist and where you see us going with that?
Yeah, sure. Everybody wants capital intensive takedown of everything Google does. That's a good way it's a way to fail fast. So what we're doing there is we're actually learning from biology. YouTube is the host. They host your content. They also censor you, underpay you, abuse you, mislead you, mislead the viewers, break the relationship between the fan and the creator. So we, as we go with things like rewards and playlists, are starting to disintermediate aspects of that relationship. But we're not going to take on the video hosting. It's too expensive. They have this awesome central network for routing around broken links or slow links. They have points of presence all over U.S. neighborhoods. No way to take that on. So the whole game with Brave is, how do you do fourth generation warfare against them? How do you use your strengths from the edge, the ultimate edge, the browser and affordable edge, caching or other servers? And that's how we're doing it. So playlists and IPFS are big. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think too, with Brave News, the option to add RSS feeds, to your Brave News feed, and I think you're seeing this with content creators, a lot of them moving to Substack, and a lot of them, kind of going back to having more direct connection with their audience, and things like this Brave News features and talk like we're in now. I mean, we're all using this right now. You can definitely imagine a creator taking advantage of these tools and having, direct engagement with their fan base through Brave too. I think those are pretty, at least from where I'm coming from, that's a pretty interesting area. John Miller, it looks like you have a question.
Hey, yeah. Can you guys comment on the state of the Brave iOS app and getting Brave rewards? Is it like a systemic Apple issue, or is it just some bugs that have to be worked out?
No, it's Apple. It's in their balls in their court. I know Tim Sweeney from the early days of ASM.js, which preceded WebAssembly. We ran Unreal Engine 3 in Firefox natively on JS. No special plugin or runtime. So I met Tim then. We keep in touch, and his legal actions are important. So it's not going to be one thing that does it, but Apple's on the wrong foot here. They're on the back foot. And over time, they will have to correct. You've probably heard some news that was at first reported to optimistically about how they were going to allow, other payment methods to be used. All they said was, if you give someone an email address or some other way of talking to them, then you can promote a different way to pay through that channel. But you cannot promote that other payment method in the app. You have to use in-app payments. So they didn't really change anything. But this is a slight concession on their part, and they are on the wrong foot here. They're going to lose. It's just a matter of time. But I have no idea when or how. And I have friends about it. So this is a long game. You have to be willing to play long game chess if you're Brave.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where, if Apple can hear from their users that they want Brave rewards too, it might help them to hear, you all let them know that you want to see this feature.
Complain. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is there a stand on privacy, or is it like a business model thing that they're fighting against right now?
They want to control in-app payments as the grand rentier. They want to take 30% or 15%. They're cutting it back, right? They're trying to act more responsible over time, but they're still trying to be the one and only way to do in-app payments. And that doesn't work on the internet. That's a gatekeeper model predicated on their shiny hardware and their grand halo. And commodification over time erodes that, and antitrust and privacy and the congressional letters to Tim Cook all matter.
Excellent. There was a question about CMO search. People are seeing job recs and hearing things. I don't know, Brennan, if you have an update on how that's going.
No, I need to go work on it now, so I'm going to bow out. But thanks, everybody. Good to talk.
Good stuff, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Brennan. We've also got a few questions in here. I think what we'll do is I've got another meeting I got to jump on in a couple of minutes. So I know we typically run over, but we'll wrap this one up at the hour, and I think we can get back with some more stats. I know there's some stats questions, things like that. I'll come through the chat here after and compile the questions. But yeah, thanks to everybody for joining. We'll be back next week too. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Brennan, for joining.
Thank you.
Really appreciate y'all. And we will see you all in a week.
Good talking to everybody. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks all.
This was awesome.
Bye.